In 1942 in Louisville, Kentucky, Mr. and Mrs. Cassius Marcellus Clay christened their newborn son Cassius Clay, Jr. 22 years later, Cassius Clay renounced his name and its associations and elected to call himself Muhammad Ali, which is, of course, how we shall refer to him tonight. Even as tomorrow, should he change his name back, we would refer to him as Cassius Clay. In changing his name, Muhammad Ali intended to disavow his culture and to adopt membership in the black Muslim movement of which he is an apostle. When, a little bit later, he was called by the Selective Service Board to serve in the armed forces, Muhammad Ali explained that he was proof against such laws as a minister of the Islamic faith, as taught by Elijah Muhammad. The courts were not impressed. The boxing commissioners stripped him of his boxing crown, and very soon, assuming the Supreme Court of the United States goes along, Muhammad Ali will go to jail or renounce his citizenship and forfeit his bail. Muhammad Ali defended his world heavyweight crown 6 times in 11 months and won them all. His career as a boxer, until he dropped Sonny Liston dead in his tracks, was ridiculed as primarily an act of self-promotion, an art at which young Cassius Clay was greatly proficient. "I'm the greatest," he told everyone. "They all must fall in the round I call," he versified. And just about the time that he had established his supremacy beyond reasonable doubt, he felt the afflatus of Elijah Muhammad, and here we are. He had been something very special. Quotes, "I was the onlyest boxer in history people asked questions like a senator," he had said. But even so, he wouldn't have it otherwise. I'd like to begin by asking Mr. Ali, what makes him believe that the same country that glorified Joe Louis would want to persecute you?
First of all, I would like to thank you for the brief introduction. You covered a lot of space in such a short time. You did make a few points that I would like to straighten up, and I'm sure you did this without knowledge of what you were saying. When I did not take the name, just name myself Cassius Clay, this is an honorable name, Muhammad Ali, given to me by my religious leader and teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I would like to say that Muhammad means in Arabic, one who's worthy of praise is one praiseworthy, and Ali means the Most High. But the slave name Clay meant dirt with no ingredients. But what
the slave word which?
Clay means dirt with no ingredients. Names have meanings in different countries. And I also would like to say that I'm not an apostle of the Muslim religion. We believe that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the apostle of Allah, our God, but I'm only a helper and a minister of his. And I also like to say that you mentioned that when I accepted Cassius Clay, I disowned or disannounced my culture. Well, I did not disregard my culture. If I did, it was the white American culture, and I've accepted my true culture when I accepted Muhammad Ali, because this is a black name. Islam is the black man's religion, and so I would like to say that I would like to clarify that point, that I reclaimed my real culture, and that's being a black man and wearing a black name with a black body and not a white name. So I want to say that I didn't disown my culture, but I would say I've put down a lot of the white American culture and ways and beliefs. And answering the last question about Joe Louis and me, why was he so praised and me not? Well, I would like to speak from my knowledge. The reason I can see is Joe Louis was what you would call, or what a white would call, a good red-blooded American boy who went to the army and told the world we must fight for our country. And he, in his times, we didn't have the protesting and the things that we're having today. But I would say that I received respect by not only blacks around the world, and I'm a Muslim, but all throughout white America, more so than any boxer, including Joe Louis, and mainly by the college youth of today. So I'm just a lot different from, I would say, Joe Louis. So I guess that's why I'm looked at different.
Well, I understand the point that you make, and I think you make it very well. But you have, in fact, said publicly on a number of occasions that America was looking for a way to get back at you because we are a white culture. And I'm asking you, if we were looking for a way to get at you, why was it that Joe Louis was so popular with the same white America?
Well, I can't
Because why did we have it in for you?
I can't recall saying whites as a whole was out to get me, because many know nothing about me or care nothing about me or what I believe. And what I believe or what I do will never harm them, nor will they have to come in my path. But I did make a statement that many of the boxing authorities and the people who wanted to get me out of the way couldn't do it physically. And many people, I'm sure, in government. So the legal way they could say take the title and then make it look justifiable to the public was to say that he wouldn't serve his country. Twice, if you recall, I was denounced by the draft. In Florida, I was illiterate. They didn't want me. Then they had a special psychiatrist to come to Kentucky. They checked me and they didn't want me. But as soon as my name was Muhammad Ali, as soon as I announced I was a Muslim, then all of a sudden I became smart.
Well, then you do believe that. You believe that you were drafted only because you changed your name to Muhammad Ali and joined the Muslim religion. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. They knew that I wasn't going. They know the government. They know the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his followers. The jails are packed with Muslims, but this would justify my title being taken. And
Yeah.
this
well, now,
would look justifiable.
if you hadn't changed your name and your religion, in your judgment, you would have continued to have been listed as undraftable?
I believe so, yes.
Now,
It's debatable. You have a right to, say what you believe, and, have a right to say what I believe.
Sure. Let's not fight over it. The reason I ask this because I'm anxious to know, in the course of appealing to the courts, your lawyer must have made that point, but apparently it made that point unsuccessfully. So did they, in fact, ask the draft board to explain how come all of a sudden they reclassified you? Did the draft board give a plausible reason for doing so?
They asked the draft board to explain a lot. So as a matter of fact, I have about 675 documents I had of handwritten letters by Baptist preachers and some white and Muslim ministers and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The question was, is he really sincere? And like right now, I consider myself in court now. I done faced one white judge, and now I'm looking at you, and I already had one white jury and audience, such as I have here now, and it really makes, I have to be real cool and not savage and radical, because it makes me angry when I think about it, when I see the white boys, who are really the #1 citizens, the future rulers, when I see them by the hundreds leaving the country, see the white preachers breaking into draft board houses in Wisconsin and Baltimore, turn the files out of the walls, and making a bonfire out of 4,000 and 5,000 draft cards, pouring blood on them. And I see them go to court and the judge say 2 years, and I get 5 years for legally doing what's legal. I say if I lose, I'm going.
Now wait a minute. Now, you say legally, but
you can denounce the draft on any grounds. You have to go to court. If you lose, you pay. You have to be a man and pay your sentence, which I said I'm going to do. I'm not leaving the country. But this is legal. What I'm doing is legal. If you're guilty, you got to pay. But what I'm doing is legal. So the people, I'm not using these people as an excuse to do it.
But now wait a minute. The 5 years that you're talking about is for doing something illegal in the eyes of the court system of the United States, right?
No, sir. It's not illegal in the court system to not take the step if your grounds are justifiable and you can prove it. And then
all right, but you couldn't prove it. You couldn't prove it.
We had the proof. Well, here's what I was getting ready to say that makes a black man hot, if you understand. Our first wife I had to divorce, this is before the draft come up, because she wouldn't wear dresses long. I think you remember this. This was headline news. It cost me $250,000. I'm paying $1,200 a month now in alimony. I paid $96,000 in lawyer's fees. Now, if this is not sincerity, I don't know what. Then I like to... no, I'm not trying to be funny.
No, I don't doubt your sincerity. I'm talking about... legality and sincerity are two different things. You can be perfectly sincere, for instance, in desiring to break a law.
Well,
but it's still a broken law, isn't it?
What I'm saying is that this sincerity was not recognized. I mean, the files, the papers, everything we had. You asked me a question.
Yeah.
Did you say to the draft board that when you accepted Muhammad Ali, they seemed to change, and that if you was Cassius Clay, they wouldn't have? Well, all these things is brought up, but they completely overlooked it.
Well, let's grant the sincerity of a couple of judges and quote them. I think it's only fair to do so under the circumstances.
Sir.
One of them, the first one you approached, said that Cassius Clay, quote, claims to be a minister of the lost found nation of Islam and maintains he was due a ministerial exemption from the draft. His vocation is clearly that of a professional boxer. His point was that, in fact, you were a professional boxer, not a minister.
What we did tell the judge there, he said, if you're a minister, why are you boxing? At the time I heard the Islamic teachings as taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I was in about $138,000 worth of debt. And this debt had to be paid. Mm-hmm. And boxing was my way of paying my debt. But I would say one thing. I was asked in a way when he said, take the step, choose between the wealth of America, the millions of dollars, and the title, or the ministry. So I chose the ministry. Or if not, if I was not sincere, then I would have easily went to Vietnam, boxed exhibitions, and made a couple of coups maybe.
I don't think anybody in his right mind would doubt your sincerity.
Well, this is what the whole thing's about.
No, I don't think so. The question is whether or not you fit into certain specifications as defined by the law.
Right.
Now, for instance, the judge in the next higher court ruling against you said that you, quote, claimed objections to participation in war insofar as they are based upon the teachings of the Nation of Islam, resting on grounds which primarily are political and racial. These constitute only objections to certain types of war in certain circumstances, rather than a general scruple against participation in war of any form. However, under the law, only a general scruple against participation in war in any form can support an exemption as a conscientious objector. Now, that makes sense.
Right.
That's not anti-you.
Right. You're right. One thing I would like to say is that I'd have to admit and tell you this. My first lawyer, who was a black man, he was pretty well versed, but not versed enough. And I was a minister at the time that they called me. I was doing the ministerial work throughout the country for the teachings of Islam, as taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And his hardship was my first case. He said, this is what we'll do. Then they were going to grant us the thing on hardship. But still, I would have to work in a hospital or something, but not carry weapons. Well, I couldn't do this.
Why?
Well, the Holy Quran, our religious book, teaches us that we who declare ourselves to be righteous Muslims do not participate in no wars, no way, fashion, or form that take the lives of other humans. And so what I'm saying is that I should have told, it's my fault in a way too, I should have told the lawyer that I'm not participating in no kind of way. So, but the two, and after he failed that, he went on another ground, had to support my mother, which was not enough to keep me from going in some kind of way. So then Hayden Covington, a wiser lawyer from Washington who we hired, he said, you're a minister. I said, that's right. He said, well, this is how you should have went it first. Because a minister don't have to take part in nothing, a hospital, nothing. He said, the only way you're going to get out is to go in as a minister. And I didn't know it. My first lawyer, he come up talking about this is not so. The other lawyer proved to me that it was so. Then when we filed it to ministry, I have to admit that it did look phony to the public. Well, at first he tried to get by because of his conscientious objective. Yeah. Second, he had to support his mother. Now he's a minister. But if we had went in first with the ministry, I'm sure it would have been much easier. So this is why the judges say this and say that, because it did look funny because we made the wrong moves at first.
Well, but then if that's the case, it's incorrect to blame them, isn't it?
The lawyers?
Yeah. No, the judges.
No.
You know, the judges take whatever arguments you present.
Well, I'm not blaming the judges. I'm not crying. I told them my bags are packed and clean out my cell because I'm ready to go to jail. I'm not crying. I'm not hijacking no planes. I'm not leaving the country. I have my draft card. It's not burnt. So what I would say is that the lawyers should have went another way. And I would say that they should know better, but I'm not crying about it. I'm a man. And I would like to say that the judges can look at this as a fraud in the beginning if they want, and then they can still look at the third case. Is he sincere as a minister, or is he real? But I'm just talking about this because you brought it up, but you don't hear me protesting over things that are happening to me. I'm just playing it bare. I rely on Almighty God, Allah, and whatever happens, happens. I'm not trying to convince the jury or the judge that I'm sincere. We took the papers in, we did the best, we go under the law, and what happens, happens. But we sure that they know that I am.